Welcome to the Rebel Love Show, episode 3, our very first episode from Manchester, New Hampshire, in our new Rebel Love Show studios. I am Rob Mathias.
And I am Joel Valenzuela.
And this is our show about the life and culture of the Free State Project from a Manchester perspective. You can find all of our content at rebelloveshow.com, facebook.com/rebelloveshow. The show... And I have that on. There we go. Technical difficulties. All right. First episode. Now, this show will be about the life and culture from a Manchester perspective. What it's like to live in this culture of the Free State Project. We plan to have a lot of people come on the show. From in the community, talk about the activism going on, and give an idea of what life is like living here for people that haven't moved yet.
Exactly.
Now, both of us are early movers. You beat me to the punch by about 6 months.
4.
4?
September, October, November, December, January, right?
Yeah, I know. You moved September. I moved in January.
Yeah. 4 months.
Yeah. Now, I beat my goal by like a week, because I had signed it the first week of February. I told myself I'd be there in a year, and I made it within a week.
I beat mine by like 4 months.
Oh, there you go. So I want you to start off for a little bit, because I think this first episode, I want to discuss our personal journeys to kind of give a backstory to why both of us are here. And how we got here, because I think how we got here is very interesting, but what we plan to do here. But
exactly.
But you got the floor. Tell us how you got here.
Well, how anyone got here doesn't exactly make sense without understanding the why. And the why in one word is liberty. The why in 3 words is liberty in, or 4. Liberty in our lifetime. That's 4, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I'm not going to even say about math. Does that even qualify as math at that low level? So liberty in our lifetime. How did I get to liberty? Well, I was homeschooled from the time I was this big to up until college. And I was raised with a sort of pro-Constitution, pro-Founding Fathers kind of minarchist libertarian perspective from the very beginning. The kind of perspective that believes that government is evil and a small bit of it may be necessary, but it's the less we can get away with, the better. And that's already just a very short step over from government is evil and the less of it we can get away with, the better. And wow, we might be able to get away with no government, which is where I'm sort of at now. Now, it was from a very young age I became politically active. I was 14 or 15 when I started.
You come from a completely different background in regards to what you did in your life before you got here. I mean, I feel as if I was plugged into the Matrix and I literally had to unplug myself. I don't think you ever were like within mainstream culture or society.
No, I lived on a cattle ranch up in the Mexican mountains for 14 years. I didn't have electricity the first few years of my life, and I got this weird, unique perspective. And then from 16 to 26, I just had about every 6 months or a year I moved, whether it's around the U.S. or to other countries or just all over the place. And so all the while I was working and interning at public policy organizations, got to a bunch of them, and I ended up having a public policy career in the D.C. area. And I was what they call a Beltwaytarian. Libertarian working within the Beltway, trying to reform the beast from within.
No, you just didn't work within the beast. You worked for the beast.
In the beast. Yeah. There's this picture of me floating around that I don't want to bring out because it's all the way in my room over there, and I don't want to do that. Myself with the president, George W. Bush, and Dick Cheney, signed by both of them. And yeah, I interned for the Office of Public Liaison with George Bush for a few months. They didn't pay me though, so I didn't have to.
Those bastards.
Accept. No. My conscience is clean. I never accepted any taxpayer money. So that's as far.
Whatever you gotta do to defend. Whatever you gotta do to sleep at night.
Nah, but now I know how it works, man. But on a serious note, I do know how it works, and how it works is there's a lot of committed, possibly vaguely moral people, hardworking people in government working their best to try and make the world a better place, and it just ain't cutting it. You know why?
Why is that?
Government isn't the answer. You can't, through an involuntary, coercive system, you can't centrally plan any way that makes collective humanity better.
Well, I mean, it just goes to, if freedom's the answer, what's the question? And government is not anywhere in that.
Exactly. So that's how I got to my philosophical journey. And how I found out about the Free State Project is I was having trouble finding work in my field. And so I finally got to a list of all the pro-liberty public policy organizations the world over and looked into each and every one of them for a job. And I finally came across the Free State Project, and I thought, this sounds great, but there's nothing in New Hampshire in my field, so but I kept on watching it, and over time, I just started to see that this is where everything's happening. This looked like an awesome place, and my big stumbling block was I couldn't find a job in my field there. So I finally was like, you know what? No, I'm not waiting. I'm not looking for a job in my field. I'm just going to move and then see what happens. I'm still here.
Oh, we both put caution to the wind getting here. I mean, neither one of us had ever stepped foot in this state before moving. We didn't go to Pork Fest. We didn't go to Liberty Forum. You know, we didn't come visit for a week and see what things are like. You know, we didn't take a tour of the state.
I sense some condescension in your voice. It's like, we didn't do all
it's
back
people,
in the day when men used to be men, gosh darn it.
I understand why people do that. I'm not saying that.
I would have if I could have, but I couldn't, so I just came.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you knew you wanted to be here, and you got here. I did the exact same thing. You know, I'll tell my story when I get to that point, but talk about your journey.
So, I had barely not enough funds to make the trip. I packed all my earthly belongings in the back of my two-door Honda Civic and drove the several thousand miles from Phoenix, Arizona to Manchester, New Hampshire. Stopping along the way, stopped in Taos, New Mexico, and St. Louis, Missouri, with friends and family. And then I stopped in Chicago, Illinois, with this dude over here. Because, I don't know, we Facebook friends, talked about liberty, whatever. I said, hey, you like the Free State Project? Guess where I'm going? Can I crash at your place when I drive through? And so, there we go.
Anything to help someone get to New Hampshire, I was going to help.
Help a brother out, huh?
Yeah.
And then I stopped with Derek J. Freeman of Victims Crimes Free fame, although I'm sure everyone in the audience probably knows who he is by now, in Philadelphia. And then I went straight up to Manchester. And kept on broadcasting everything awesome that's happening here for everyone still left behind in the cold, dark world of statism USA.
Well, that's kind of the goal of this, is just to be kind of like the eyes and ears and really, I mean, there's thousands of people that haven't made the move yet, but I mean, there's how many, sometimes I think about how many people are in the liberty movement, so to speak, and I would have to, sometimes I put that within a couple million people, you know, and
Definitely.
This is just, some people make content to wake people up. And this ain't one of those shows. This is not one of those shows. This is preaching to the choir, but it's to tell them, you know, that at least we're doing something to achieve liberty in our lifetime.
We're doing something, that's right.
Now, you got here, and you beat me to the punch. Now, my journey was a very, very different journey.
Bet your ass it was different.
For one, I never was into all this beforehand. I was like in the Matrix. I feel like I've liberated my mind and body. I used to be a huge TV junkie and gaming junkie, and huge overweight guy and all that jazz. And I discovered liberty, and that really woke me up to the point where I questioned everything I saw. Now that getting from here, from where I started, had to be over a 6-year journey, ideologically and mentally, because you're programmed. You have to understand, like, if you, for the average person, you're in the matrix. You're in the, I'm using a matrix analogy because it fits. You're jacked into the programming of society. That programming is really hard to break. It's really hard to break. It's not something that, you tell someone about liberty or about freedom or, self-ownership or something like that. It takes a while for that to click in your mind to get there. There's a lot of things you need to research and stuff like that. When you have so much programming going against you about the collective, about being American and all that jazz.
Well, that's really deep-seated stuff, and how far we are now from it is incredible. Like just today, I was at Dunkin' Donuts on my way over getting some coffee, and there was a bunch of veterans, motorcycle ride veterans, who are all like a gaggle, whatever the term is for veterans, a gaggle of veterans, about 8 or so of them, all older gentlemen, all Vietnam and possibly before. They all had their little caps, Vietnam veteran this, their special license plate that said that, and they're so proud of all that. And then I realized, for one thing, me now looking at that, and I had a little journey to go to it. Before I used to think of that as a positive thing. Now I sort of shake my head.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, these poor people have led unremarkable lives their entire lives. I don't know what they do, what they've done. But they had that one moment of glory when they were told they were important. And they hold on to that in their license plate, their hats, their everything. And they would never wear a hat of that style normally, but they go around, look, I'm an old veteran, I'm a Marine Corps, because it makes them feel like they're special. And that's exactly what they do. The state, the system, creates this whole paradigm where they decide what's special and what isn't, what country, what isn't, what your you have the flag, and they get you associate these things with these certain images and organizations. And that's how they can control people so easily. All they have to do is, to do any kind of war, is just say, oh, more funding for the troops, and oh, we got this, and veterans, you don't want to stand in front of them, stand behind them, or whatever, the whole thing. And a flag, and America, and our interests, don't you love your country? And they use all this, and people, once you're that far into it, you can't just be like, I'm done. I really realize it's bullshit, I'm done. No, because you're so into it. What would these people tell their kids and their grandkids if they're like, yeah, I was in the military, it's bullshit? Then it's like, then what did you do with your life, Grandpa? It's like, I worked at an auto body shop. And they don't want to stick with that.
Well, I have that dilemma because of my day job, and I'm trying to get out of that. But, someone has to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
Someone has to pay their half of the bills.
Half of the bills, yes. At any rate, I have no problem with people wanting to live their life. If that makes them happy doing that, then more power to them, But if you want to live for something better, something higher, then more power to you to do that too. Live the life you want to live. Don't exist. Live, But back to how I got here. I know you hate them. See, I woke up because of the Truther movement.
Here we go.
I woke up because of the Truther movement. All right. A friend showed me. This is way before YouTube even existed. Showed me Loose Change, and I didn't want to believe it. I was very hardcore conservative, rah USA, America, And I remember spending months researching it to prove it wrong, and then I went down the whole conspiracy theory rabbit hole with Alex Jones, listening to his stuff and watching all his documentaries and a bunch of other documentaries and whatnot. But via Alex Jones, I got introduced to a lot of different stuff. I got introduced to Ron Paul. I got introduced to Lou Rockwell, Tom Woods, Adam Kokesh, Stefan Molyneux. From there, that's how I discovered the Free State Project. and that's how I discovered Free Talk Live, and then from there Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, and it just kept going down and down. I'm like, eventually I was like, I gotta get there because there's at least people here willing to do something, even if it's just, standing up for what they believe in, just literally uprooting their lives to move here to make a difference. And that's something I felt it drew me here just to be a part of it. But as for my journey here, I signed the Free State Project Pledge to Move February of 2013. Went through a little heartache. At the time, was married, and back in November we separated. So we're separated, whatnot. But we had planned 6 months to move and whatnot, and had nothing. We didn't break up because of the FSP. It was just it wasn't working. The marriage wasn't working. But you came and you stopped at our place in September, and then we started this show in November, and then I had to put that on hiatus. I remember spending, back in November, I literally spent 3 months saving every dime I had, not going out, not doing anything, knowing that I want to get here, saving everything I had. And come January, I finally got a transfer from my job. I actually got it before I imagined I was going to. So I was a little bit unprepared because I didn't have the funds really to make it. But I was like, I'm not going to get another opportunity to have a transfer from my job from Chicago to New Hampshire. So I had to take it. I remember literally selling everything I owned. I had like a fire sale in my apartment. I sold my TVs, the computer, the desks, the couches, pots and pans, like tables, everything. Like it was bare bones, like nothing in my apartment. I literally flew here, never setting foot in this state. Literally came here with nothing but the clothes on my back, a bag of clothes, and then of course Ash, because I gotta bring Ash, the studio cat. I had to bring the cat. I mean, it's Ash.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we're going back to like how I was ripping on people who were visiting and played it safe. I get that, I understand that, but I didn't need to waste money on going to Pork Fest in 6 months or something like that to see what the culture's like. Like I already knew, it's because of Facebook. Well, obviously most people that are probably going to watch this understand friend bombing. People friend bomb. You have 50 mutual friends. What do? You hit accept. That's what you do. And the Liberty Movement is probably very unique in that so many people within this movement, I like to say community more than movement, but so many people just friend bomb other people that with similar friends and whatnot, and it builds this network of people that think the same way.
Yeah, some people don't like that. Some people are like, well, I don't know who you are, I haven't met you, so I don't accept any friend requests from people.
I faced that here. I remember the week I was here, I got like 50 friend requests that were accepted within a week because they waited until they met me until I got here. I think that I understand why people do that, because they don't use Facebook the way we use Facebook. We use Facebook almost as if like it's our own reality TV show.
Keyboard warriors, we go to battle on Facebook for truth, justice, and the un-American way.
Yeah, I love the un-American way. But no, I mean, the biggest selling point trying to get here is following people that lived here in the state and seeing what they were doing on Facebook.
That's what sold me.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, if I can inspire someone to move by putting a post on Facebook or Twitter, that takes what, 5 seconds to say what I'm doing, take a photo, like, oh, I'm at a Bitcoin meetup and there's 50 people here, let me take a photo. Like, where are some other Bitcoin meetups where you get like 30 to 50 people talking about Bitcoin? It doesn't happen most places whatsoever. So, to me, it was just you have to. I mean, not everyone's an activist, but for me, that was just a good way to show what life is like here, and then if I can inspire someone with just a post, I want to do it. You know, I get messages from people saying that all the time.
Well, you know the good old hashtag and principle, trigger the move.
Yeah, we're triggering it. We are the trigger.
There's another thing. What triggered your move? You know what triggered my move?
Yeah, what triggered yours?
They just made it like, bam, it's done. Was Vanessa Vine's Instagram.
Which one?
Just her photos.
Just her photos in general?
Receipts, like just the sunset over Portsmouth, the receipts of like zero tax stuff, with like just the life.
You know what was the biggest thing that made me really want to move?
Mm-hmm. What triggered your move?
There's a bunch of different triggers, but probably the one...
It was like, bam, sold. That's all I'm thinking about now.
Seeing... I don't know who took the picture. But first off, I mean, there's a lot of different things that did, like seeing your post here when you got here, seeing everything. Like, I was living vicariously through your posts for like months, just like you and Riaz and a few others.
I'm John the Baptist to your Jesus.
Yeah. But the biggest thing, and it's not just one person, but like a collective of, I hate to say the word collective, but seeing all the posts from people that went to Pork Fest, like the week after. Like seeing photos on my whole news feed was just like photo after photo, post after post about what happened at Pork Fest, like all that stuff. And these people still live here, and just seeing like the adventure that they went on, and that was to me like, man, I felt like I was just existing in Chicago. Here I feel like I'm living, and it's a weird thing to say, but like Facebook really helped convince me to be here, and I feel like I post a lot. I post a lot about what I do, but I feel like I'm paying it forward. You know, showing. I know I have a lot of people on my friends list that don't live in the state, and a majority of my posts are not for the people that live here. You know, if you're watching this and you live in New Hampshire, disregard my posts. They're not for you. Well, a couple of them might be, but the majority of them aren't.
Yeah, what makes you think you're so special? Well, there's people who here don't need any more convincing.
No, exactly.
Not a lot of people. There are some locals, some people who are from around here and are generally sympathetic to the message, but just not plugged into this cool underground.
And there's also
world.
a lot of natives that are more plugged in than we are.
Yeah, there are some too. But it's fun because all I'm a keyboard warrior, while I'm going at it, talking to people about the ideas of liberty. And when people are like, what are we going to do? There's this big consternation around, what are we going to do to achieve liberty? What are we going to do? Oh, yeah, it's easy for you to say that. Well, what do you... Okay. Now I have an answer to all that. It's not a hypothetical. Liberty is not a hypothetical. It's a reality, and it's a reality here. And all the answers to...
Look,
yeah.
I completely agree with you. Being here makes it so much more real.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as coming from someone who's been following the Free State Project for years, and just seeing it on, like, you know, you can watch as much YouTube videos and speeches and read as much blogs and, you know, and listen to as much podcasts as you want, but nothing will do it justice than being on the ground, going, you know, visiting Keene, going to the CAC, or going to Area 23 or to Quill, or just hanging out with.
I wasn't there when I came here.
See, yeah, that was the first place I went to. Literally, the very first thing I did, you know, took an Agorist cab and went to Area 23. Yep.
The Agora cab didn't exist when I came here either. It was just the Quill, and that's already a pretty cool thing. I mean, there was the whole Keene stuff, but I didn't go to Keene until you moved there. It was... So much has happened in this last 6 months. And now there's the Rebel Love Show Studios. There's another place. And there's Neocache Radio that started up since I got here.
It's like a renaissance of podcasting in the Free State Project. Yeah. It's like you know how some artist scenes have like a renaissance of music. Like Seattle back in the '90s was a renaissance of, you know, music with grunge. Like New Hampshire is like the grunge scene of podcasts. It's really bizarre and weird. Like there's so many liberty like content coming out.
Yeah,
of
everyone's coming up, and now that that's a good thing because now that'll allow the best to rise to the surface. No one's going to listen to anything anymore because it's the only show in town. If there's 12, then that'll push them all to compete. The best comes to the top, and the best is good enough to reach outside as a little micro bubble, and maybe even reach into the greater outside world.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of competition from other media centers. Like some people say Austin. There's some people in the DC area is heavily saturated.
Whoa, the DC area is
Not
highly
podcast,
saturated
not
with Liberty Act.
podcasts, but with Liberty, with a lot of people go to the DC area to spread the message of liberty in the idea center of the world as they would think it is.
To me, there's, besides New Hampshire, there is, I would say, 2 areas of very vocal liberty activism. I think Philly has a great crew. And I think there's multiple great crews going, or activism in Texas. The only thing with Texas is it's like 30 million people, and they barely have the same amount of numbers that we do. Mm-hmm. Well, there's only 1.1 million people that live here.
Yeah.
We have a greater number of people just because there's so many. The population of Texas is astronomically more huge compared to New Hampshire. They need 10 times the people that have the message than we do.
Yeah, and that's one thing that really helps whenever you want to do any kind of activism or anything. If you show up around here, you get noticed. Other places you show up, so yeah, whatever, because that doesn't matter. But here it's small and local enough, and like in New York State, New York City is essential. In Illinois, no one cares about anything other than Chicago. It's like that dominates. There is no center in New Hampshire. Manchester's the largest population center, but no one cares about Manchester. Concord is the legislative center, and no one cares unless they're trying to lobby the State House.
Yeah.
There is no center of New Hampshire, and so anywhere you are, you're dealing with the hearts and minds of the locals that aren't looking to any big power center for answers. And so you got there an undivided attention. And so any activism or anything you do out of anywhere in the state, you have a little bit of a captive audience there, and it's pretty nice.
Well, it's just a numbers game. I mean,
yeah. But other small states have centers. New Hampshire doesn't. There is no capital. There is no.
Yeah, I mean,
no
people
center.
can make the argument that Manchester is, but people in New Hampshire, people talk about Manchester as if it's the big city.
Yeah, but
it's one street that's a downtown with a couple of big buildings. I mean, it's like a big small town.
They talk about it in terms of population size. It's never anything going on.
It's like 100,000. It's like 100,000 people.
Yeah, everything going on in this state is in each different place. Like, oh, there's Bedford. Oh, this is going out there in Milford. Oh, Concord this. Portsmouth that. And no one ever says anything. It's not like everything cool is happening in Manchester. No, everything cool is happening outside of Manchester.
I want
That's
to know
kind of
what's
weird.
going on in Grafton. Like, Grafton seems to be a hub of activism, too, somewhat.
Yeah, that's where they really got that whole small place that they could totally take over and just take over and leave everyone alone.
Then you get the Lakes region. Hopefully they do more. But, I mean, there's a lot of people in the Lakes.
dig.
I know. Well, I'm quoting you on that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people in the Lakes region. I've met a few of them. They're great people. But there is a large critical mass in Manchester more than anything else.
Oh yeah, that's one reason that's the reason I decided to come around here and move here, of all places, because there's just a critical mass. Anything you want to do, you start your Bitcoin meetup, you get 20 people showing up right away. You want to have an event, whatever. But you have this Shire sharing, right? And start by one person, right? A little nonprofit to feed the hungry on Thanksgiving. You just say, hey, we're doing Shire sharing. Area 23 is packed with over 100 people, all Free Staters, just converging on that location to help out. And that's just, you don't get 100 Liberty people anywhere to show up to anything unless it's like a big pre-planned conference like once a year or something like that. You can't just say, hey, we're doing this big event, hey, everyone come out, and bam. No, that doesn't happen. It can happen. You have critical mass.
Well, for me, like the reason why I chose Manchester over going to, like, say, Keene, I actually did think about going to Keene.
Sorry.
Don't be hating on Keene, man. I love the Keeniacs, man. I love Keene.
Absolutely.
But I felt as if they got it down. Like, in all honesty, I saw Manchester, and I saw the amount of people living here, and there's not enough media content out of it. There's not enough for the amount of people here. There's not enough activism. I mean, there is activism. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of activism that happens here, but I really wanted to come here. I felt like I can make more of a change, more of an impact in Manchester than I could in Keene.
Absolutely.
And that's one reason why I kind of chose Manchester over Keene.
Also, the stage has sort of been...
That I want to be in a bigger city. Coming from a big city, I kind of want to have some city life. I want to be able to walk downtown and whatnot. So
you want to be able to have some people not recognize you too. That's one thing that's the key.
Well, that doesn't happen, man. Like every time we go downtown, like we run into people that recognize us from being
everyone.
That's true.
But that's the thing, is the Keene folk have really gotten their presence known.
Oh, do you want to tell the story about us going to Keene?
Yeah. Still remember when we went to Keene. We were with the whole Keene crowd. We went out to lunch with Daryl Perry and Ian Freeman.
This is after I bought the car with Bitcoin.
Yes.
First car in New Hampshire, apparently.
Exactly. And it was Ian Freeman, Graham Coulson, Daryl Perry,
and us two and Riaz.
And Riaz. And the six of us went out to lunch. And we were at some diner. And when we sat down, everyone was staring at us. And the owner and a couple of patrons that are up at the front were staring at us and pointing back at us. And I was making eye contact with them, like, it wasn't even, they look away when they realized they were staring. It's like, they made no effort to hide the fact that they knew who we were. And that's never...
They had to think, oh my God, they're multiplying. There's three more more people. They doubled in size.
We don't know those three, you know.
But, that was... That's when it felt real, because that was day 2. Yeah. That was day 2 for me, you know, and
you joined the cult, man.
Yeah. I noticed like the waitresses like always staring over, multiple patrons in the restaurant looking over at us. And I remember what was even more insane. It's not insane. But even more stood out, like Ian and Graham, like were just chill. Like they knew it, but they didn't acknowledge it. They're like, we know. Yeah.
And that has never happened in Manchester. Carla,
not yet.
The president of the Free State Project, the other day, according to her, was out at a restaurant, and some waitress didn't know who she was, but like, have I seen you before? You kind of look familiar. And that's the extent around here. Some people know, but it's already if you were to have moved to Keene and attempted any sort of activism, it would already be your perception of you and your work would already have been set in stone by the efforts of previous.
But that can still be changed. You can change perception.
Well, I'm saying Keene already has its stage set. Manchester's still like a little bit of a blank slate.
It's a blank canvas.
So now
not blank, but close to it.
Yeah, now we can paint something beautiful on that and wait until that becomes a place that people know about, and then we keep going until.
Yeah, well, I love
the
fact that it's not all centrally located in just one city. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that there's people going to different areas. It's almost like taking a scattered shotgun, just like whoosh, and it just goes everywhere. I mean, every little area has people moving there, and hopefully they become active and do something. Whether it's agorism, which I have to admit, the agorism here blows. It's shocking how much the agorism here. But civil disobedience, working within a state within elections, whatever you need to do, doing charities, whatever it is. Just being active is amazing, but the agorism here, it blows my mind. That's the thing. Yeah, coming here, I almost everything that I've seen, I expected, because I've been following the community for so long that I kind of had an idea what life was like here before I kind of got here, because I was so obsessed with the Free State Project, and I had to get here.
I'm right there, free state.
Yeah, but the man, the agorism, like the fact that Bitcoin flows, like you don't use FRNs, you use Bitcoin in almost every trans, unless of course Bitcoin drops to 400 something, which it is now. Then you don't want to get rid of your Bitcoin, but
yeah, like when I was giving rides at Liberty Forum, I was acting as a cab service
for Agora Cab,
and about 60% of everything I got was in Bitcoin. People wanted to spend it. It's like, this is cool.
Yeah,
and I'm sure.
Well, you did a week living off of Bitcoin, didn't you?
I did lived off of Bitcoin for a week, and only a couple times was that actually something in an established place paying for it. Like I used a gift card, GYFT, at a shop to buy some clothes with. So I paid Bitcoin for a gift card that I then used, and then I went to what is now the Burrito Liberation Front in Newmarket and paid with Bitcoin for my meal there. And everything else, though, was all in the community. Agorist Cab, I needed a ride, I paid for it in Bitcoin. Even when I went out to eat at a not Bitcoin accepting establishment, I still paid someone to cover my tab. So I ended up paying.
Yeah, I've done that multiple times. Like if you, the thing here in when you go out, because you move here for the community, not just to be part of it, but you're doing yourself a disservice if you move to the Free State Project and don't get involved in the community.
Oh, yeah.
But if you go out to dinner or you go to an event or whatever, someone will cover your tab if you offer to pay in Bitcoin. Every person here has a Bitcoin wallet on their phone. Like you go out to a group of people, you always see, someone, taking out their phone and, doing a transaction in Bitcoin. It's a normal occurrence to a point where we take that for granted. Like I like to literally document and show that that's happening, because where else in the world do you see people exchanging funds so often with Bitcoin? It blows your mind, and the businesses that have popped up from that, like Shire Co-op to Agora Cab to are we mentioning WoW? Can we say that?
Yeah, there's a.
I don't know.
Agorist food delivery service.
Yes, let's just leave it at that.
Very gourmet and professional. And
the crab cakes, man.
The crab cakes.
Oh, the crab cakes.
Them ribs, son.
Oh.
Them ribs.
And they deliver.
And they're reasonably priced, and you can pay in Bitcoin. And you know what's the amazing thing? We were talking about the community. Their only clients are in the community. It's all just word of mouth. Yeah. And the community is strong enough to sustain that. Same with Agora Cab. It's not like, hey, we're no sign out there, no anything. It's just word of mouth that fuels this kind of thing.
And that's just with the people living here, like the probably 5 or 6. I don't know how many hundreds of people are in Manchester Free Staters. I'd put it around 500.
At least 500.
Yeah, but imagine when that's like 5,000, or the state has 20,000 or 40,000. I think it'll go on beyond that, but that's just now. But the beauty of it is, people talk about like, well, what will a voluntary society look like? This is what it looks like. People voluntarily operating outside the state, exchanging funds for services. That's what it looks like. And it's every time I see a transaction done like that, whenever I see one of those services happen, I feel like I'm witnessing history, because these businesses, whether or not they actually flourish or not, like whether or not they go under and something else happens, the fact that they're trying it, they're literally putting their neck out on the line, working outside the state.
Yeah, and that's the key to success, and that's what really struck me as this huge separation. I was back in D.C., back in Mortar, earlier in the year for the International Students for Liberty Conference. And I used to work at the Cato Institute a long time ago. And there was this social event there at the Cato Institute. And now they have a huge, shiny steel and glass, an Ayn Rand wet dream of a building right there. And so it was packed with the classiest people around. And it was, but they were carding at the door. for our alcohol consumption.
What?
And it struck me, these guys, they're powerful, they're funded, they're moneyed, they're professional. They got their stuff together. They know what they're doing, and they're trying to ask permission from the government to be free. They're trying to petition the state to decrease itself in size, and that's not really working that well. And here we are here in some. Don't take this as talking smack about the quill, but some clandestine little social club with sort of dingy-looking couches and stuff. Here we are just going there and, hey, $2 for beer, Bitcoin. No one cares about that. No one cares about the state. No one's waiting to live free.
You live free now.
Here and they're living free
Exactly.
right now, damn it.
Yeah, and free people don't need permission to be free.
Exactly. And the more people do that, the more people are living free. They don't need to ask the government to go bugger off.
Well,
they already won't matter.
It's all about creating the culture. I mean, this is a cultural shift. You know, it's not just.
But this is Ash, the studio cat.
She'll be on every episode.
Yep. That's why we're getting the third mic.
Maybe
to let her voice her feline opinions.
We should start her own She should get her own Instagram account.
Oh yeah.
All right, get off. But it's about the culture here. It's not just about being free, but seeing the people come here and the cultural identity. This is a cultural shift. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a mainstream cultural thing. The scene is so unique that I can't describe what it's like living within the community. It's very unique, to say the least.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I guess previous big attempts at achieving liberty have
shunned or have neglected, because they make it all about the economics, the philosophy, the facts, the rightness, the things like that. And it's not about the life and the living and the culture. And then they started, like, and look around us with the whole trappings, the flag here, the flag there, the porcupine. Oh, I'm a porcupine. That whole identity thing. And then they're on your microphone right there. The voluntarist symbol right there.
Yeah.
And the anarchist I remember a friend in the community bought this sweater at Goodwill that had these, like, it was black with these little red A's on it, just coincidentally. But she wanted to wear that because it looked like the anarchist symbol, and it's the culture. And when people want to be like this, when they want to be down with the cool cats, then it's not just it's some nerdy economic theory. It's something actually real.
Well, for me, okay, like this flag behind me, okay, the reason why I have this, I mean, honestly, I don't really believe in flags and stuff like that, but the reason why I use this is because conservatives recognize "Don't tread on me." They get that, the Gadsden flag, and this is a take on the Gadsden flag because the porcupine's a defensive creature only, but conservatives understand that, because it is, the protest flag against the crown during the revolution, and the whole ANCAP flag, because people always ask, what's with the black and whatnot, and that gives me an opportunity to talk about it. Or like, symbolism means a lot, because people, it's a form of communication, and when they don't understand what you're saying, they ask questions, and it gives you an opportunity to talk about it. Like, I wear a lot of times on my coat, I'll wear a small little ANCAP flag lapel. It literally looks like, that politicians will wear, like an American flag lapel pin. It's just a little tiny, shiny badges. Feel free to sponsor us, Davi. But
throw some Bitcoin love this way.
No, I love that pin because I literally get it opens up conversation with so many people. I'll go grocery shopping, or whenever I'm out, I'll make sure I have that on, and it starts up conversation. And I talk about peace, liberty, self-ownership, freedom, no one owning you, all that jazz. And it gives me an opportunity to talk about what is this? Most people think it's like a flag of some country or something like that.
Yeah. Now, speaking of whole symbolism that is familiar to people to get things started. And by the way, I've had my Free State Project lapel pin out, and have people like waiters at restaurants say, "Oh, is that? Oh, I've heard about it. That looks really cool." our good old friend Liberty Carrots,
Joe
Carrots walk into the Manchester airport with open carrying.
You should have went to that,
rifle.
man. That was so
But my point about
fun.
that, what was on his head?
Patriot hat.
A tricorn hat.
Yeah.
Which harkens back the imagery of resistance to the crown, the Minutemen resistance
Yes.
to the crown.
And it's a whole different crown, and boy, let me tell you, it's a whole different resistance now too.
Yeah.
But it's the same parallel, and a lot of people don't see that, and that kind of puts that into their head.
You have no idea how many. I've gotten so many messages from like activists in Texas that like love that video. They're like, we got to do the same thing somehow without being shot on sight. Because we literally, for those that don't know, go to my YouTube channel, Follow This Rebel. It's on rebelloveshow.com. Me, Joe, and then Nemi and Riaz, we went up to the Manchester airport. Joe was open carrying a rifle on his back, wearing the tri-corner Liberty, Patriot hat, handing out Free Press publication newsletters, newspaper, which actually had the story about how Davy Barker was detained at that very airport for his bitcoins. And we walk into this airport, and I'm filming it the whole time. Like, walking into an airport, open carrying. I don't know of anyone that's ever done that. I've never seen that happen anywhere. And what was absolutely amazing about that entire thing, especially when in the video he walks up to like this cafeteria area, like literally, which is literally 10 feet away from the checkpoint, because Manchester Airport is very tiny. It's a very tiny airport. And there's like this cafeteria area, which is like 15 feet from the actual checkpoint for the TSA. And there's TSA people at this table. And he like walks up over there, open carrying, and like handing them like the FPP newspaper. And they're like, holy shit, I'm on break. I don't need to deal with this right now.
You just sort of look at them, whatever.
But like the people that came, the airport administrator, who happened to be named John Adams, which was just mind blowing as well. They didn't him, the TSA, the police that were on staff. None of them questioned the fact that he was open carrying a rifle.
Loaded rifle.
But they did question. They actually threatened him with arrest for handing out a newspaper. That was their big deal. That was the huge thing. Like, and we had, now mind you, we had literally a security escort, probably because of the gun, but that wasn't brought up in conversation once.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
The keyboard is mightier than the gun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks for plugging my article, by the
You're
way.
welcome. But man, that was an adrenaline rush, and since then, it's like every week I've had like this crazy adrenaline rush with like activism, which is like fueling my fire here. Like the week after that, we tried to crash a Joe Biden rally, which ended up we were the only people there, and he didn't show.
We were the only people from the populace, the general populace there.
Yeah, so what happened was there was a minimum wage rally in Nashua, and the Nashua Telegraph had an article like the day before saying that Joe Biden was going to be at this library talking about minimum wage, how it needs to go to 10.10, and we're like, man, let's go get some press. Let's actually go to this and maybe like protest it or want to make a video, because after the Manchester airport thing, I'm like, I need to up my game, because I view this as an art. I view everything I do here as an art form.
We're all
you
tortured
do.
artists.
But I'm trying. I want to make this fun. And so like I picked up a new camera to make it look anything I do look more polished, I guess you can say, more professional as best I can. And so it was the first time we used it. We went to Nashua. There was 4 of us, 5 of us. Me, you, Lauren, and Ken, and Wendy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we were holding signs. Your sign was the best. Yours, and you play. I'll be honest. You played the race card, I guess you can say. You played it well. You played it well. I'll give you credit. It was appropriate.
Because guess what? They were playing it too.
Yeah, they were. Oh yeah, they were. So the one thing I like the fact we didn't show. We all we did, we got some signboard and we wrote on there different slogans and whatnot. Yours said the minimum wage is too damn high. And then I'm just right next to it.
Yours said thanks, Obama.
Yeah, just to be hipster, I guess. I don't know. Just to be funny. But we didn't show our signs until after the rally started. And what was crazy is there was like 3 or 4 people from the press, from like the Union Leader, National Telegraph, and whatnot. There was one friend of the FSP who just randomly was there, which was
worked at the library there.
Yeah, which is you just went there. Yeah, it was a coincidence.
All over the place.
That was it.
Taken over.
That was the audience. And they had this like $100,000 bus that was parked there as like the backdrop, and they like 20-some people came out of the bus. They didn't they weren't people that lived there. They were like part of like the campaign, and they all had like these polished like probably $50 signs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was funny. Why we saw the National Telegraph is because they alerted the press that they were going to be there, so the press could come and see them and deal with their canned speech.
Yeah.
And now, whatever the affiliations of the press, every reporter wants a story, and just repeated talking points isn't a story. Even if they bend the story certainly, they want a story, and we were the story. We made it a story. We were there, the dissenting view, and as soon as the last speaker was done, they converged on us like vultures on a rotting carcass.
Well, what was shocking to me is that they went for like 40 minutes with different speakers, especially like that Reverend. She looked like she walked off the set of Battlestar Galactica, like praying for like the states to have like to help the poor, some bullshit like that. And
statism.
Yeah, but. What was crazy is they knew we were there. Every few minutes or whatnot, people that were, because there's like this line of like 15 people, and then we're the 5 of us, the 4 of us, and Wendy was recording. We're standing right behind, right on the other side, and it was just like this line of like protesters and the campaign, and that's it. And it was so bizarre because they were talking to us as if like we were the audience, but we were there just to protest, just to be a voice of dissent.
Yeah.
And you could
otherwise
see
they would have no one to talk to.
And you could see it in their face that they're like, "Oh my God, why are we still doing this?" And they went through the whole shebang, and
yeah. Now it's interesting to say that what led me on the whole Free State Project thing was back in the day in 2007 or 2008 when I was working in D.C. still. I met Pete Eyre, who went on to cop block fame, among other things. And he's a bit regional heavyweight here, but I met him back when he was working for Bureaucrash. And it was a breath of fresh air to me because Bureaucrash was all about crashing the state, crashing state rallies, crashing. And that's exactly what we did, is we crashed their little statism party over there.
Their little religious, we're the state, we're going to help everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the good, like, rebel spirit over here, is to just be a fly. I mean, we're not.
It's not like we're going to change. It's not like we're going to change the world being at a tax, a minimum wage protest. But
we're not a huge, well-funded, well-oiled organization. We're not an army. We're not a nation. We're just a few rabble-rousers right now. Yes. Guess what we can do? We can be the fly in the soup. We can just be there.
The voice of dissent.
Just stir things up a bit, keep them on their toes, and then before you know it, we encourage others to follow in our footsteps.
Literally showing up is the majority of the battle. You show up, you're most likely going to win.
Guess what? The ideas of liberty are universal.
They are.
We all want to live free. We all want to live and let live. We're all on the basic page, but either we have misconceptions about the government or the state or the nature thereof, or a lot of people are just, I'm with you. It's just, we're kind of alone, but we're not alone. We're all alone when we sit down in our living rooms and do nothing.
That is the biggest drawing point here, is that you're not alone. There's an actual community behind you. Like, if you get arrested, people will flock to you. I mean, look what happened to Billy Rock. She got arrested. Like, God, the community like went crazy around her, and like even during her trial, she had like what 20-some people show up at her trial. Anyone that goes to trial, if you go to court or whatnot, you get a group of people that will back you up. If you get pulled over, you let people know immediately. You get people that come out and they'll try and help you out. They'll try and film the cops for you or whatnot. Help document it for you. Like that happens. You have backup here. You have people that. I mean, it may not mean much, but you're not alone here. And I felt alone, being a very, huge advocate of liberty. I felt alone in Chicago. I don't feel alone here.
Yeah, and when we can be together, when we aren't alone, all the things we can accomplish, that's step one. Step two is when the rest of the world sees, they're like, well, we can do this too. And then they start getting together, that sense of community in their own place, and then no one's alone.
No, I honestly think, I mean, obviously not everyone that loves liberty is going to move to New Hampshire, that's for sure. But enough people will, but they'll also, everything we do here is going to inspire someone to do something in their community, and they'll help, bring more people into that, mindset. And that's one reason why you need more media. You have to tell the story. Like, I came here, and I felt like it was my responsibility to do what I can to tell the story of what's going on here. Because I'm probably still going through the honeymoon phase. I've only been here for 3 months, something like that. But I feel like I'm walking through history, and I feel like there are so many people here. Not just what's going on, but the emotional history behind so many of the people here. It's a story that needs to be told. And we're like one YouTube video or one podcast or one blog post or one picture away from going so viral that so many people know what's going on here.
Yeah, or rather, I like to think that we're one post away from triggering someone's move. We're always
that's beautiful.
One thing away from triggering someone's trigger.
Be the
hashtag
trigger.
My move.
Hashtag be the trigger.
Be the trigger you wish to see in the world. That sounds kind of violent, though. I'm not sure about the Keniac to like that metaphor.
Violence, man. Oh man. Yeah. What else has happened in the last week? Oh, the census thing. First off, sometimes you have to go out. You got to go out the door and do something. Or sometimes you just have to open your door. Just 2 days ago, there was a census worker at our door, and the average person would simply slam the door or answer the questions or whatever. No. I grabbed my camera, my new HD camera, and videotaped the entire interaction. And this woman went through like 15 minutes of asking me questions about my ethnicity, who lived here, if we had hot water, what like computers we had, who owned this place, like all this crazy, like insane questioning. And I got it all on the phone, and I put it on YouTube. I honestly have not ever seen the interaction between a U.S. Census worker for like this survey that they're doing. First off, it's not even a census year, so I don't even understand why she's even doing this. Not to mention the fact that the NSA has all this information anyway, so her job is pointless, to begin with. But yeah, that's just something easily to do. But you don't have to go somewhere to be an activist.
Well, some people were commenting on that.
Haters gonna hate.
With criticisms or whatever. And
well, I criticized myself on that. There's a few things I wish I had done differently. I wish I didn't interrupt her. I wish I let her speak a couple of times. I kind of wish I said a few different things. But I mean, that was like there was 5 seconds between me grabbing this and going. It's not like something some other activism where you spend weeks or months or days planning. There's like 5 seconds between me grabbing my camera.
But that's the point. The two things. The one thing you did right, that you'll always do right.
Grab the camera?
Is you did something.
Yeah.
You got up there. You did something. You stood up to the machine, the powers that be, in some small, meaningless but meaningful way because it's an act of defiance. And by doing that, you let them know, and then you let the rest of the world that's watching be inspired. And that's the whole point of this whole show.
We're just here to see what it's like here, the daily struggles and victories and maybe even defeats of the local activist population. So the rest of the world could see what we're doing here and be inspired to do the same. That's the whole point. We're here on the Rebel Love Show to spread the love of a liberated world. And so the world can see that and follow suit.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's going to be an exciting year. There's so much stuff planned just like this month, like activism that I want to cover. I know Riaz is organizing a jury outreach on the 21st, and then also him and Dan are they're going to pay their parking tickets in pennies, which is, I mean, that's minor, but they're doing something. It's a protest. They're protesting the fact that the city can,
Lie in the soup.
steal something, steal money from you just because you parked without their paying for their permission,
Or because you parked on the side of the street.
the wrong side of the street,
They
so
said
they can
that
steal your money.
For the day that corresponds with some. It's all nonsense.
And then on the 20th, Rich Paul's organizing a 420 rally at the Capitol, which I want to go to and videotape that. I mean, that's 3 things going on literally within like a week or two. Not to mention other stuff going on around the state. I mean, we want to do something on Memorial Day. I don't know if you want to announce that. We'll save that. We'll save it. We'll save it.
Wait for it to happen.
We'll save it. We got to plan that more. Yeah, it's exciting. I feel like I live an adventure, And here's my thing. Before, because it's getting long, so we're going to cut this short soon. But you don't have this because, I mean, yeah, you have a day job, but your day job's cool. And on top of that, most of your work is actually being a blogger and all that jazz. I mean, I blog, but I'm not on your level, and I don't make any money. You get paid for some of the stuff that you do. I don't, and I work a day job. All right, I work a day job where I work almost 50 hours a week with a 2-hour commute. So I'm gone 60 hours out of the week every week. And I'm within like this, the normal people or whatnot. I'm not
among the humans.
I'm day walking. I'm day walking in here, and I live this life, and then I have to go. I feel like I'm living a secret identity. I feel like I live in a secret identity where I go to work. And it's
agent man.
Yeah, I feel like that, man. I feel like I live a secret identity at my job because this is so not normal. I mean, I'm not trying to discount liberty activists and the Free State Project, but this community is not normal mainstream culture, and I work in a mainstream culture job.
We're underground as they come.
Like case in point, that day when I went and filmed the Joe at the Manchester airport. Right after that, then we went. I didn't make a video of it. I have the footage. It's on the Manchester Raw YouTube channel. But we went to the Manchester Police Department. Again, him open carrying. We literally go into the police department and questioning about when's the next DUI checkpoint, because Manchester actually has to announce when that is. So there's going to be cop blocking when that is, and hopefully that's soon. We got to figure that out, but hopefully there'll be some good footage of that happening. And then right after that, we're heading back to the Quill, and like two squad cars pull up behind us, and we're like, holy shit, the cops just called the cops on us. But they didn't. They pulled.
Yo, dog, I heard you hate cops. It's like calling some cops on your cops while you're. Okay.
But so we're like, well, we have to cop block this, because they pulled someone else over right in front of us, and then doing so, we don't know what exactly was going on, but I have a suspicion that they're informants and they're definitely undercover police officers there, because I was recording it, and this Sergeant Musi, is that his name? I think that's his name.
No. Something else.
Was it?
Yeah, well, whatever.
It's on my Facebook. You want to go read it? Whatever. Yeah, he came up and pushed. I'm just standing there holding my phone, recording, and he just runs up to me. Calm down, man. Calm down. And he pushes me with his shoulder. I'm like, I'm just recording, But all that happened within 30, 40-minute time period. And you know what I had to do after that?
Go to work.
I went to work. So I videotaped someone literally open carrying a rifle in an airport,
and
right in
police
front of the
department.
TSA, and in a police department, and cop blocking, and I go to work for 10 hours. All right. After you do all that, how do you go back to like a day job? And
That's what I should be asking you.
oh, God, I gotta find a way to make income. I gotta eat. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta, this mic, that camera, this camera, like, I didn't make that from activism. I made that from my day job. That pays for this existence. I gotta do what I gotta do to survive.
So when someone comes and tells you, get a job, man, you'll be like, I got a
Yeah,
job.
I have a job. If someone ever says that to me, I'm like, I work a hell of a lot of hours. I have a job. But that just, it was surreal, just like, managing my team and whatnot, and being in this completely different environment. And the whole time I'm thinking, what did I just do? What was going on? I feel like that every time I go to work, I feel like it's a shell of the person I used to be, because I had that job before I started doing all this, before I really made that my transition, my going down the rabbit hole. Again, you were kind of already unplugged from the Matrix. I had to unplug myself from the Matrix. So I had that job before I unplugged myself. So it's a weekly and daily reminder of who I was as a human being and who I am now. And it's like I have two different people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very insane the way I exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyways, let's cut this short now. So because we're going over an hour now.
Yeah.
Got anything else to say? Anything to
Nope. That's
talk about?
it. Just we're spreading the love.
Okay.
Keep watching. There's gonna be some crazy stuff on here.
All right. We do have like future plans for this show. We're expanding the studio thanks to Antigone. Shout out to Sex, Lies, and Anarchy, because they're actually recorded right now, but we got some business going on with them. Expanding the studio. We plan on having guests on from not every week, but whenever something goes on, we want to bring people on from the community to talk about what's going on. Joe's definitely gotta have him on. He's a riot.
We'll have plenty of people on.
Yes.
We'll keep our guest list private until what time. You will know until
until you watch. Yeah. But we'll have people on talking about what's going on here. We will. It'll be once a week. I mean, we might expand more to that, but right now, for the foreseeable future, this will be a once-a-week show live on YouTube. You can always find us on rebelloveshow.com. We'll have all the videos posted there. We also will have this as a podcast, so you'll be able to listen to this as an audio form. We'll be on iTunes, we'll be on Stitcher, and any other podcast app that you feel to use. We'll have that RSS feed on our website as well. You can always find my personal videos on there, and also our blogs. Like I have my own YouTube channel, Volunteers Rebel. He has Desert Links. He makes great videos. Of course, you have your website, desertlinks.com, and you blog the hell out of that.
Oh yeah.
And we also both blog for Free Keen, Free Mensch, and everything else under the sun.
We're making it happen. If no one else,
we make content.
We're making it happen.
Yeah, we make content. At least from Manchester. Keen has it covered though. We
Yeah.
got to bring the game to Keen.
Yeah, I told you. No more like smack talk.
I know.
No
No more
smack
smack
talking
talk on air. I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
I know.
It motivates me because I want to bring the game to them, because no one else has, in my opinion. But anyways, we're out. All right. Check us out in next week. All right. Peace.
Peace.